Closed captioning provided by Beaufort County.
It is 2 o'clock and the Community Services Committee meeting for Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025 is now called to order. If we can stand and please say the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sarah, this public notification of this meeting has been published, posted, and distributed in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act, correct?
Yes, sir, it has.
All right, thank you. And if I can have the approval of the agenda, I believe there may be a motion on that.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to change item 8B so that we can properly have the discussion on this to read, recommend to County Council not to renew the Coosaw Sam's Point Community Center lease agreement.
Can I get a second on that?
I'll second.
Show of hands, all in favor?
No.
All right, was that a no from Mr. Dawson? Second?
No.
That was a no, so was that?
You said yes.
All right.
Yeah, he said no.
Okay, all right, so that's everybody but Mr. Dawson on that one? Okay. All right, it is amended. Now, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Second, please.
I'll second that.
All right, show of hands. All right. Mr. Dawson? No, okay, gotcha. I believe that's unanimous. All right, moving into the approval of the minutes for the June 2nd, 2025 meeting. May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. May I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you. Show of hands. All right, that is unanimous. And moving into the public comment period, do we have anybody signed up for public comment?
No, sir.
All right, seeing nobody, I believe, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, come on up. Please state your name.
I'm Lynn Bryant, and I just wanted to say, I wanted to get clarification on, the meeting seemed to jump around. It was 4 o'clock, then the notification I got this morning on Facebook was 2:30, then it's 2 o'clock. I just wondered why it was changed, because it's difficult for people to make a change and attend and give support when they get it at the last minute. So I was just curious why it was changed like that, the time.
See, well, we're really not supposed to answer questions from the dais. But
Oh,
if you'd like
I'm
to-
sorry.
No, that's okay, but if you want to speak with
It's
staff.
just my concern.
No, I just understand. If you want to speak with staff, they can answer that question as far
Okay.
as the change in the time.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Anything further? No, thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to have public comment? Seeing none, public comment is closed, and we'll move into the next agenda item, which is the Assistant County Administrator Report, Detention Center update, and the fiscal impact associated with that. Mr. Robinson, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon. All right, we've got a little PowerPoint presentation that will come up here in a second. So what I wanted to share with you this afternoon was a conversation that we started last year. We started last September, and I think we came to council in the winter or early at the beginning of the year and told you about some of the condition of the detention center and some of the repairs that we had to do. We talked to you in September. We began with an emergency purchase order to do some work inside the kitchen. And then we came back to you and told you about some other repairs, and these were mostly drain repairs that were going on. And then we came and showed you some of that work in April when we did a tour. So I'm going to tell you about those. When we started the process and we began talking with you about the emergency repairs that were required, We had 5 emergency purchase orders at that time, and our expectation, our estimated cost for those repairs was at $252,000. The scope of that work was to repair the plumbing in the kitchen area. That plumbing repairs extended into the housing units. So we did the work in the housing units A1 and then A2, and that work then extended into the B-wing housing unit. So we ended up replacing right about 90% of all the drain plumbing from both housing units into the kitchen area. This was in FY 2026 or 25. There are some more repairs happening now in this year's budget, but our commitment was to come back to you and describe what we did in FY 25. So of some of those repairs, we fixed some other things that were right in the right spot, and it made sense for us to make those repairs at the same time. So we fixed some of the laundry units that are inside the housing units. We repaired the lavatories that were specifically for detention officers that were in the outside vestibule areas that you saw some of those areas, as well as some other restoration projects that were just the timing and the position that we were in. It made perfect sense to get those done. So I'll talk about that a little bit more. So remember, we came to you, we told you we had emergency purchase orders. We were at 5 purchase orders. We thought we were going to be around $300,000. We did our cost estimates at $252,000. And I think we talked about then, clearly an expectation that we would probably find something more. As we tore up the concrete, it was very likely we were going to find some things that we could not see prior to that. Oh, there it goes. So these are some of the photos you saw last year. This is some of the kitchen repair, just as a reminder what had to be done. The number of tradesmen working here was pretty incredible. We had folks there from construction to cut through the concrete, electricians to manage all the electrical work, and plumbers everywhere doing repairs and restoration. What's really important about this for me and important to share with you is the collaborative effort of our staff members. All of this work could not have been possible if it were not for the detention center staff. The facilities staff did an incredible job throughout managing the project and the funds. They worked along with the capital project staff. The finance staff are critical for any of this work being done, and all of the contractors that became our partners throughout this last year are very important. I'll talk about some of the contributions of each of those departments as we move forward. Again, some more pictures or photos of what was. This was a shower that was torn up, plumbing all the way under the ground to make these repairs serviceable. Here's some more photos, and this is an area in one of the housing units that you toured in April. This is an A1, just an example of some of the work that was done. So what did the facilities department do? Not only did the facilities department manage the emergency procurement process, they sought out each of the trades people, trades groups that could get this work done effectively. They coordinated every day with the detention center and the movement of inmates within the detention center. That is really critical. So all the timing of all of these things are so important to get done. And they did this while they were getting everything else done. Over 160 other county buildings that require their time and expertise. While for the most part, the facilities deputy director, Jason Bessinger, every single day was in that detention center making sure things were being done on time and appropriately and efficiently. The whole time that Jason is inside making sure things are getting done correctly, the facilities director, Frank Strongcheck, is working along with his team in the field, along with Jason, along with finance, along with the detention center, making sure that everything is done properly within the budget and that we're following our county policy and procedure. So all of these things are really critical. This is an example. This picture that would be on your left is a little difficult to see, but you can see a wide type plumbing there and all the concrete. That picture on your right showing that piece of plumbing and that piece of concrete inside of it. This is an area in the detention center between the two alpha units that the corrections officer's lavatory was, and it has not functioned properly since the building was built. When they began to do all these other repairs, this was about 2 feet, 2.5 feet from an area they were working on. So they went ahead and went the extra mile and tore this up. And what they found was concrete dried inside of that plumbing. So now that is a functional area. The advantage of having these things done is so important for staff. Each of the housing units has not a commercial, but like a household washer and dryer for the inmates to be able to wash some of their own personal items. That is really helps the health and welfare and morale of the inmates, that they have a place they can use inside the facility to do that. Operating water fountains and clean, serviceable showers that all work. No more water on the floor. All the drains are working properly. All these things really improve the health and welfare of our guests that are there, as well as that translates to helping out our detention officers. It really brings down the stress level inside the facility. So those are all benefits. This is one of the hallways, so this is, that I think you saw during the tour, just the repair that was done to the hallway. This whole hallway floor was torn up to get to some of the plumbing that was there. Another team that really worked well with our facilities team is the capital improvements team. We had in our budget a few phases of restoration already for the detention center, some painting, some floors, the repair of some metal work, the repair of some doors, other things going on. Anytime we do repairs like that inside the detention center, we have to move inmates from housing unit to housing unit to allow access from those areas. So the coordination here is really important. While the facilities team was in a housing unit making the plumbing repairs, the capital improvements team was able to come in because the housing unit was already empty, coordinate that, and complete the work that they already had planned for that. So what you'll see now is an amazing transformation. This is inside one of the B unit housing units. So while the facilities team is there repairing plumbing, the capital improvements team was able to send their folks in and paint, replace some of the flooring, replace some of the carpet. When the inmates move back into this space, it is nearly completely restored area. We still have some work to do, for sure, but this is an example of what our inmates are moving back into at this point. Here's just another view of of completed showers. You can see they're fully restored, all operational, new lighting. Here's another set of showers that you see. The ADA compliant shower down at the end is roll-in. So we really, these folks really did a great job in there. What did the detention center staff do? So throughout this process, the daily routine of ensuring that the health and welfare of the inmates, the health and welfare of detention officers, as well as all the contractors that were in and out every day. The detention center staff managed that every single day, making sure that all the inmates had what they needed. We had enough space to move them back and forth, and that we maintained the safety and security of the inmates and officers while we were doing that. So that's a really important task to get done. The results. So in the end, we spent more money than we told you we would. We estimated $252,000. We had one additional purchase order, so of the 5, we ended up with six emergency purchase orders in 2025 that totaled that $367,000. And here's where the finance team becomes so important for us. They ensured, their task was to ensure the funds were transferred properly and help us find allocations for those as we got towards the end of the budget year. The finance team really helped us make sure that we had funds available to finish these projects. All of this happened under the watchful eye of the CFO and the finance office, finance staff, to make sure that we did things correctly. So the funding for these, most of the funding came from facilities emergencies funds. Some of those, as projects crossed over, came from the CIP department, and some of them were reallocated funds from within the detention center already. So we were able to get all of this done without coming back to you and asking you for more money. This was done within the budget. Now, here's my favorite part, the positives. So we created or restored clean, serviceable showers and laundries inside the housing units. The officers now have operational lavatories within the housing units. That alone saves us on overtime. So if for an officer to have to use the restroom, they would have to go all the way back to the muster room because their lavatory was inoperable. So that meant another officer had to come in and cover, and it was challenging. Now we have really improved that situation. And finally, well, there's lots more positives, the water bill. So while we were doing all this plumbing work, we were working on all this drain, we were also took that opportunity to work on the water control valves. Each wall or each hallway in the detention center has a water control closet, and that way we can isolate water to individual cells. And we found many, many leaks of things that needed to repair. All small leaks, but they all add up. So Vanessa O'Donnell is the office manager for the facilities department. She keeps a very close track on all of our utility bills. Took a lot of time, but she was able to connect each one of our utility bills to a specific meter, and then connect each one of those meters to every one of the occupied buildings that Beaufort County maintains. So she started really paying attention to the water bill. The water bill in the detention center in July of 2024, just before we started this project, peaked about $53,000 a month. That's a lot of water. Now remember, there's a lot of lavatories in the detention center. It's a very busy place. When we were getting to the end of this project in June and July of this year, that water bill fell all the way to $14,000 a month. That's $39,000 per month savings, which we'll project this year to be $468,000 in savings in just the water bill. So we did spend that $367,000 to make these repairs, but will likely result of this as we improve the conditions all over the detention center for inmates and our officers, and we're going to save nearly $500,000 in the water bill. That's all I have for you. I just wanted to make sure that we shared with you. We told you last year we were going to, what we were going to do. Then we went and did it, and we told you we were going to come back and give you an update on where we are. Any questions for me?
No, just comment.
Recommendations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, I tell you, it wasn't me, and that's why I wanted to highlight all of the folks who were very involved, and that's what's important here. The collaboration of county staff was incredible. They did a great job and very efficient, and the result is I think we're going to make money by making repairs.
Can I make one quick comment?
Sure.
Thank you very much for this information. You showed a picture before about a pipe that was blocked up from the day it was built. Are you saying all these savings, could have been saving this years ago? I mean, this is incredibly good news.
That one pipe,
Yeah.
that area, it was operational, but they always knew something was wrong with it because it never acted quite right until we really tore up all the floor and the concrete and all the plumbing and finally went, I knew it.
Great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. All right, it looks like we have getting to the agenda items here. 8A is a presentation on the Children's Center. I believe Tom Hens and John Shore are here to give that presentation. If you can come on forward. And good afternoon. And y'all, I think the material they submitted is not in your packet, but it was circulated via email, so everybody should have it. But once again, the floor is yours.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, Council, my name is Tom Hens. I'm with the Hilton Head Island Bluffton Chamber of Commerce, and I'm a fellow member of the Solo Co. Subcommittee on Child Care, along with John Score, retired Admiral and Chief Counsel of the Coast Guard. We're going to tag team a request for you to sign this resolution along with Jasper County and the other Solo Co. municipalities in support of a state child care funding demonstration project here in our local area called TriShare. To define the child care funding problem, I'm going to refer to an article in last week's Wall Street Journal. Childcare is expensive because people are expensive. Childcare is very labor intensive with strict staffing ratios to ensure safety and quality. You can't use AI to replace them. It's hard for childcare facilities to pass on these high costs to young working parents, so childcare workers are some of the nation's lowest paid workers, often without health care benefits, which makes finding and retaining good teachers a difficult challenge. In another recent article in the Wall Street, it states that the child care industry is a crucial piece of what makes the U.S. run. The economy needs workers to function. The government needs tax-paying citizens to fill its coffers. But in the U.S., the cost of caring for and educating young children tends to fall solely on the parents, and many of those families can't make the math work. In Beaufort County, the median cost to send one child to daycare until kindergarten is $54,000. I'd like to refer again to a recent study by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in partnership with the South Carolina Chamber of Commerce and the South Carolina Department of Social Services. It's called Untapped Potential in South Carolina: How Child Care Impacts South Carolina's Workforce Productivity and the State's Economy. It recognizes that child care is a two-generation issue, essential for supporting today's labor force and developing tomorrow's. Several key findings of the study include: 1, insufficient child care availability costs South Carolina $997 million a year in lost economic activity. 2, South Carolina ranks 47th in labor force participation rate, many not being able to work because of inadequate child care options. So child care also develops our next generation workforce. 90% of a child's brain is developed before they even enter kindergarten. Yet only 5% of public education dollars are spent on early childhood education. An estimated 52% of South Carolina children are unprepared for kindergarten, and it's very difficult to catch up. Our proposed solution is modeled after Michigan's TRISHARE program launched in 2021 and being followed in other states where child care costs are shared between the parents, the state, and the parent's employer. Although Michigan's model calls for sharing costs equally, we believe that a 50-25-25 model is preferable, where parents cover half the cost of child care and the other half is split equally by the state and by the employer. We calculate that this cost would add an additional $1.50 per hour for the state and $1.50 per hour for the parent's employer. The benefit to the parents is evident. The benefit to the state is the ability to claw back some of that $997 million in lost economic activity. The benefit to the employer is attracting and retaining an appreciative employee with less child care absences. The benefit to the child care industry is a more stable revenue stream that enables the hiring and retention of qualified teachers. John?
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, Madam Chairman, I would like to try to ask and answer two questions. First, why is this issue important? And second, why is your voice important? To answer the first, let's look at who benefits. Businesses. Here in the county, you have just under 5,000 employer businesses. They're always, it seems, in the hunt for workers, but the lack of affordable and accessible childcare means that some potential workers are prevented from seeking employment because they have to stay home and take care of the kids. Overcoming that barrier means that they can join the workforce. Your constituent business owners are the first to benefit. Children. Rough count, there are about 3,000 children under 5 in Beaufort County, and an estimated 500 of them are waitlisted for child care. These children and others will benefit when they get to school with the skill set necessary to begin a lifetime of successful learning. Their parents will benefit when TriShare makes child care affordable and they can go to work. The family's standard of living immediately goes up with that additional income. And teachers will benefit from having students who can do the work rather than being perpetually frustrated by falling behind. And finally, the state of South Carolina as a whole will benefit. The numbers, I've seen numbers as high as $1.4 billion as the penalty paid because of the absence of adequate, affordable child care. Seeing child care and early learning fixed means your businesses and your constituents will be better off. Why is your voice important? We are fortunate to have Representative Shannon Erickson leading a special legislative task force on child care and early learning. Her task force has been holding hearings over the last year and a half, but not much has happened to date, and that was to be expected. The legislature did not intend to take up child care and early learning in the last session, but as we understand it, there is an intent to do so in the session that begins this January. We have put forward a proposal for the TriShare initiative that will enable facilities to grow and more children to get in seats. This will enable the state's money to be used more effectively and more efficiently. It is one facet of a solution set. There are others. But is a positive outcome ordained to happen in the next legislative session? I am not sure. For every representative like Sharon Erickson whose heart is in the right place, there seems to be a legislator who only wants to reduce taxes and phooey with the necessary functions of government. That despite the fact that Governor McMaster reports that this year there's a $1.8 billion surplus in the state budget. That's $650 million recurring and 1.2 on a one-time basis. So I don't know how it will come out. However, we have in Beaufort County a very powerful legislative delegation. They are representatives who, by virtue of seniority and service, have achieved chairmanship of important committees. They can help make it happen. We want them in the fight on the side of child care and early learning. My tiny task force doesn't have the weight to ensure our legislative delegation is on board. But you and your solo co-colleagues do. We're not asking you for any money, nor will we, but we are asking that you take a position and voice your support. Who knew I couldn't turn a page? Soloco has the best mission statement I've ever read. It says in pertinent part, to be a regional think tank that will identify the problems and opportunities that face the entire southern Lowcountry and propose action plans to appropriate legislative bodies. Pursuant to the mission statement, Soloco has identified child care as a problem and the opportunity for solution in Columbia. Now is the time for Beaufort County Council to speak on behalf of their constituents. Now is the time to tell the delegation that you think this is important and they should undertake a solution. We ask that council pass the resolution. I thank you for the privilege of your time, and if there are any, Tom and I will endeavor to answer your questions.
All right, thank you for your time. Are there any questions from this body right now?
I have a comment.
just one comment.
Mr. Glover first.
I appreciate your presentation. I do believe in what you just said. childcare is a critical need throughout Beaufort County, especially in my district, where one of our major problems is facility. We have childcare, very expensive, but we also lack facilities. And we're hoping to try to address some of that soon. But I do agree with what you just said, and we have a lot of employees that just cannot afford childcare. It's almost what they are actually making. And so having a partnership with your businesses and stuff makes a lot of sense in supporting a workforce, because we do need those people to go to work. They want to go to work, but it doesn't make sense to go to work when you got to pay a very expensive childcare. So I do agree with you.
Thank you, sir.
I believe I heard Tab next.
So as a grandmother who supports my daughter in paying her childcare, I can speak to the importance of this. I see my granddaughters flourishing in the centers, so I understand this is a huge bite out of people's salary. My one comment, and I'm on the Soloco board, so I'll speak about that, is my understanding is we'll pass the resolution, but does it, I don't have it in front of me, did it include the fact that Hardyville was to be the pilot? Because Beaufort County is a larger area and should really be the pilot program. And Mr. Williams will not like me for saying that, but that's okay.
What we said was that we're asking through the delegation that South Carolina Department of Social Services, with the support of the Department of Commerce and the Department of Education, establish and conduct a child care demonstration project using the tri-share funding model in Beaufort and Jasper counties and such other areas as may be appropriate. The thought when we talked with Shannon Erickson some time ago and others was that if Columbia is going to do it, probably it had to be more than just Beaufort and Jasper. And so the goal would be to do pilot projects in 2, 3, 4 different areas across the state.
I'm just supporting that a pilot program should be in Beaufort. I'm just throwing that out there.
We're with you, and we have got it in writing.
Okay.
Who would have thought we're going to fight over doing a pilot program for you? I like that.
You're talking dollars.
I love that. Mr. Score, it's our first time meeting, and I appreciate you being here, and I value the information. Mr. Hens, you come to me, 3 years now I've been on this council, and no matter what you get involved with, you bring a lot of credibility, and I thank you for being here today. I look forward to learning a lot more from you, okay?
I had a question. Did I hear correctly, 500 children on a wait list? 500 children are on a wait. I really thought it would be even more than that from talking to some people that I know who put their children's names on the list as soon as they find out they're expecting.
Yeah.
I used to work for the federal government, and we used to talk about wigwags, and a wig was a well-informed guess, and a wag was a different kind of guess. This is from an informal polling. The Children's Center on the north end of Hilton Head, with which I'm most familiar, has been running a wait list of about 100, and Jody, in informal contacts with her colleagues, runs the number out to about 500. It well could be more. We'll see.
Well, Beaufort Memorial Hospital, built their own, especially for the babies, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. That's where the big gap is, apparently, throughout the county. It's really hard. And not everybody has grandmothers or grandmothers who live here or grandmothers in another state who help out.
Yeah, mine are in Georgia.
Yeah.
Understand.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else that has any questions or comments? Yes, Joe.
Comment, since we heard this and there is a sample resolution, I think it deems it appropriate that we do have us pass that resolution so we can send it on to county council as soon as possible.
Well, Joe, if you could you actually make the motion to
Yes.
send it to staff, because this is a template, and actually
Yes.
complete the template and have a finished product go to county council with a recommendation
Yes,
for it?
what I think we can do is to state that in fact, this committee will approve the template with the, changing the template to Beaufort County where necessary to move it to county council.
All right.
That would be my resolution, my.
I got you. Is there a second? Is there a second to Mr.
I'll second
Passman's?
that.
Clarification, if I may?
Yes, sir.
Is that saying, Joe, your motion that this is going to be countywide effort? This is going to be countywide effort as
Yes,
far as
this
establishing.
would, the Beaufort County would be one of the demonstration counties. Where in the county, yet to be determined. It may be more than one place, we don't know, but we would be part of the demonstration.
That's what I'm inquiring. Rather, it's just going to be Hilton Head or north of the Broad, or are we considering countywide, south of the Broad as well?
Well, we're signing a resolution as a council. Hilton Head has signed, Bluffton has signed,
Right.
Beaufort City signed, or they're going to, and Port Royal. So everyone in the county is signing this resolution without determining where it's going to be, other than in the county.
And I think the answer to where it's going to be has to pend future discussions with the South Carolina Department of
Correct.
Social Services. Once they get the message to get off top dead center and pursue this, then they're going to have to undertake discussions with county and all to make sure that it is a project that is acceptable.
And so if I can, maybe this shed some clarification. The state hasn't actually taken any action on this yet. This is to help
Correct.
push the action to the right
That's
direction.
correct.
Okay.
They have looked at it,
Right.
but nothing has burped out.
Gotcha. All right. Is there a second to Joe's motion?
Sure.
All right, second that. By show of hands, in favor of passing this on to council? All right, I believe that's unanimous.
Thank you all.
Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for being here. All right, moving into the amended 8B, which is a recommendation not to renew the lease on the Coosaw Sands Point Community Center. And I believe, Audra, are you doing that presentation?
Well, let's put it on the floor
Oh,
with the
sorry.
motion, and I will make that motion.
Is there a second on that one?
I'll second it.
All right. And Audra, are you making the presentation? Who's making the presentation? Okay.
Come on down.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and committee members. Like you stated, the item in front of you is a discussion on the Coosaw Sam's Point Community Center lease agreement with Beaufort County Parks and Rec. The legal address is 7 Ethel Grant Lane on Ladies Island. This agreement was entered into by council's approval on December 8th, 2008, and expired on December 1st of 2024.
If I may, if there's no questions right now, I know we've had discussions about this. My only concern that came up, you've addressed it, but if you could address it publicly, is the polling location. I know you said that's outside of the purview of this, but do you know if there's arrangements to be made to keep that a polling location or work that out at all?
Yes, so that is separate from this item. It is a polling location, and not renewing this lease will not affect that at all. That will be with the Voter Registration and Board of Elections Department, and a facility use agreement will take place to continue that.
And this is an annual savings of approximately, I know it's not much, but approximately $6,500-ish, is that right?
Give or
If I
take.
didn't-
That's
yeah.
for the utilities. Now, Parks and Rec absorbs the cost to maintain the property.
Okay. Are there any further questions or comments on this one? It's fairly, I guess, straightforward on this.
Just quickly, the community itself basically is moving forward to not extend or not be willing to or continue the rec center there.
The community, well, I will say, we've done our research, and there has not been programming at that location in that facility for over a decade. Now, Eric has done some research, and he can provide the data as far as the community members in that, but no, it's not where the community approached us. Yes, absolutely.
Good afternoon, Council Chairman. So, as Audra was saying about programming, I've been here for a year and a half now, and we have not done any programming. As I researched it, it's been about a decade since any parks and recreation programs have been in this facility, although there's been voting in the facility, to my understanding. We went and looked at how can we provide programming. We never want to end programming or not end anything without coming back to say, how can we provide? So we looked at the census, and it's anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 residents in this area. In some places, it's about 600 something residents, about 300 kids. And so we were looking at how can we survey and make sure we have programming. Well, there haven't been any programming for, and I don't know how long, I can't really say how long. I know I can say for a year and a half. And so my goal now is to say if the agreement is not going to be renewed, that's fine. I'm in agreement with that. But what I would do, or what I will do, is look at ways of meeting with the community on how can we come and revisit that at a later date. We never want to walk away from any community, but at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we are cost sufficient. We have to make sure that we're not just out there opening up a facility and never having anything going on. I can't come back to Audra or Mike and say, yeah, I need, $6,000. But I'm not programming anything there. And so therefore, I spoke with some of the representatives this morning. I told them I'd give them a call this afternoon, and we will look at ways to maybe revisit this in a year. If there is some programming, whether senior or whatever, even the seniors that's in this area, they're comfortable with going to one of our other senior sites, because I surveyed and asked them, if we were to start a senior program here, would you guys be open to coming in here? And they said no. So at this time, we're looking at, not renew. Well, the lease should have been renewed December of '24, and it wasn't. And it was one of those lease agreements. We have them all now under control because we know when they will be renewed. But it was one of those things. When I got here, I didn't even know CUSAL existed. So now that I do know, and now that I know that there's nothing there, I will be meeting with the community and saying how can we come up with something if that's even feasible.
Is it your understanding, too, that the church that's right next to it, have they absorbed some of that capacity? Because I go there frequently, it's underutilized, the facility, but has that church taken on some of that?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a little off topic, if I may, but I know the St. Helena and the Dale Community Centers were very important to get off the ground. I'd love to see a centralized community center out there on the Springfield location, of course, in Tate Park. So. Just throwing it out there.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, could I finish?
Absolutely. Sorry, my apologies.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Brown, I appreciate your willingness to continue the effort to meet with people in that area. I do know that, I forgot the name of that road, that there is a facility, recreation, not a facility, but a recreation site that's not too far on Ladies Island.
I'm not sure.
Don't we have that as well?
Talking about Broomfield?
Broomfield? Yes, baseball fields.
There's not a center, but the
baseball fields?
The baseball fields and the tennis court and everything else. It's on that, I can't remember the name.
It's Springfield.
Springfield.
Yeah, that's
what he just stopped talking about.
Right, I do know that.
You're right, there's some tennis courts though. Right.
So I'm glad to hear that you're still going to be working with folks in that community to see whether there is something that can be done. I hate to, like you, to give up something if we can do something in a community as far as supporting recreation. I do know and I appreciate what you have done in the past since you've been here, is to reach out for community recs. And this is a site that would support a community rec. But if there's no activity there, then there's no activity there. So I want to stand on what you're recommending and supporting. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
that was my initial concern when I voted against the initial motion to not renew the lease. The thought of us abandoning supplying recreation activities in any community. And so with the clarification that has taken place from the comments that made, Dave, this is your district, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So having heard the discussion, I'm good, I'm on board.
Okay. All right, is there any further comment on this? All right, by show of hands. All right, so I believe that's unanimous and it will not be renewed. Thank you. All right, thank you, Audrey. And moving into agenda item 8C, the appointments of Ariel Perry and Christian Cotta to the Parks and Recreation Board. for a partial term with an expiration date of February 2026. May I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to have those two appointments to the Parks and Rec Board.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing no discussion, can this be moved forward unanimously?
Yes.
All right, this is unanimous. Moving into 8D, appointment of Mary Christian or Randy Boehm to the Beaufort Memorial Hospital Board of Trustees for a 4-year term with an expiration date of August 2029. May I have a motion and a second?
I'll make the motion to put forward, to choose one of these two for the appointment.
Okay. May I have a second on that?
I'll second.
And are there any nominations of those two that would like to be recommended?
I would like to discuss.
Okay.
So Alice and I sit on the Beaufort Memorial Hospital Board. Alice was involved in these interviews. I'd like to recommend to my council members Mary Christian. I really liked how she responded, her experiences she's looking at talent retention, attraction, and development. Those are 3 things BMH critically needs. She has been working on the Quality Improvement Committee for Beaufort Memorial, and she's been an asset to the capacity of the hospital. So I would highly recommend her for this choice.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that.
Sure. All right. So we have a recommendation and a second for Mary Christian to be appointed. Is there any further discussion on this? Seeing none, by show of hands, in favor of Mary Christian being appointed? All right, that is unanimous. And moving into item 8E, which is the appointment of Stephen Morbut or Lawrence Herlong to the Beaufort Memorial Hospital Board of Trustees for a partial term with an expiration date of February 2028. May I have a motion and a second to open discussion on this?
I'll make a motion to open discussion on this.
All right, and is there any discussion on the candidates? Oh, I'm sorry, I need a second on that.
Oh, I'll second it. I'm sorry.
Yes, Mr. Mabut has, both of these people are highly qualified, but during the interview process, his skills with financial and Six Sigma and things like that stood out. So I'd like to make a recommendation that it go forward for Mr. Stephen Mabut.
All right, is there a second for that recommendation?
I'll second that one.
Yeah, which one?
Stephen Morbut, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I apologize if he's listening, if I mispronounced it. All right, so we have a motion and a second to move Stephen Morbut as a recommendation to the Beaufort Memorial Hospital Board. Is there any further discussion on these candidates for this particular individual? All right, seeing no further discussion, by show of hands, can we vote to appoint Stephen Morbut? Recommend, Stephen Morbut. All right, that is unanimous. Is there any additional business to come before this committee right now? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned at 2:40.